Right, thank you everyone for joining. Today we're going to do our annual roundup of what we think are going to be trends in 2026. Before we get started, we always like to do this. We'd love you to find the chat box and introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're from, and maybe what you're looking forward to this Christmas. And I'm going to go quiet for a few moments to let you focus on that. And then when we start to see some results, I'll carry on with the introductions. And thank you, Andrew, for being first off the block. And Alice, hello. Yes, good to see some regular names here. Thank you very much for coming back to our webinars. Josie from Chipping Norton. Hello, Liz Webb. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Yes, so great. I think that's working well. Lots of you there here. Hello, Emily. So I'm going to carry on. So we do this every year. If you've been to our webinars before, this one is slightly different. We are going to share our website and digital marketing trends for 2026. We've got the team together, or a lot of the team together here today, and we're all picking something that's maybe personal to the work that we do, and I hope that comes across in our presentations. And when we finished all those, we've got 11 trends today. We're going to ask you to share your predictions. So have your mobile phone ready. There's a QR code to help you access the Slido.com screen. If you haven't got a mobile, then you can open up another browser window and type in Slido.com. We'll talk you through that at the end. And then at the end of that, there's a chance for us to share our webinar program for 2026. Phoebe has curated this. She's recently announced that. We've already shared that on our website. We're going to indicate some of those and maybe hint at some other exciting developments next year. So we've got a lot of predictions to go through, but before that, I wanted to share with you what you predicted last year. So we did this exercise last year. We asked you to share in a word cloud what you thought would be big for 2025. So we've got those up on the screen. Let's see whether we agree with those. In hindsight's a great thing when you've got it. AI is the dominant one, not surprising there. But interesting that I love to think that we in the arts marketing sector have got a healthy dose of cynicism, and we've got AI backlash, we've got shambolic AI usage, we've got a lot of those sorts of things in there as well. What happened, though, in 2025? Was there a backlash? Do we think that it's been a shambolic use of AI and so on? So we've got that one there. I'm very proud to say, as well as that healthy dose of cynicism, we've also got accessibility, we've got sustainability, things that here at HDK are some of our core values, and we really work hard to champion those things through our webinar program as well. Trump got in last year, and of course, fake news was one of those things. So lots of things there as well. So moving on, thank you, Kay. I should say Kay has bravely stepped in to do the slides at the last minute today. So expect a few little things, because we try to get a rehearsal in, but we've done some of it, but not all of it. So there's bound to be a few Christmas gremlins in the mix as well. So these are the themes that we've picked out that we're curating for you. You may have your own favorite things that you think are going to be trends in 2026, so keep those. But not surprisingly, we're going to touch on AI. We're going to talk about search, social. There's the color of the year. Raf has been doing this every year. We get really excited to find out what is going to be the color of 2026, and we've saved that one for last. So without further ado, I am going to hand over to Phoebe.
Thank you, Hans. So I'm going to have to ask you all to hear me out with this one. My trend is living in the present. And just very quickly, I am Phoebe. I am a white woman in my early 30s. And today I'm wearing some rather itchy silver and blue tinsel around my neck, a black top, and I have blonde short. I have a bob. So that's me. So my trend is living in the present. And in a recent trend forecast, thank you, Kay. Pablo Perez, who is a senior marketing research and insights manager at Google, shared that in an era of sustained uncertainty, long-term goals are losing power. So, what Pablo means by this is that with so much in the world right now, to make us feel anxious, exhausted, and worried, society as a whole will shift towards immediate rewards, or prioritizing immediate rewards or experiences that enhance our well-being in the present moment. So instead of delaying gratification for the promise of a greater reward, which may never come, for example, like saving to buy a house, not to sound like a bitter millennial, we will all start to instead prioritize our joy in the present moment. So, of course, this is not directly a digital marketing trend. It's more of a look at human behavior and how that's shifting in response to the society that we're part of right now. But of course, we are marketing to humans, so it has implications for the work we do, digital marketing for the arts. If you could, thank you, Kay. If you could move to the next slide now. The next one. Yeah, perfect. So, as people working in digital marketing across the arts, how can we anticipate and respond to this shift in human behavior? So, one of the ways is to incorporate small pockets of joy into our website user journeys. And these are otherwise known as micro moments. So, as people move through your website, what are the ways that you can inject small pieces of fun and reward to really kind of play on that need for joy in the present moment? Another way that we can respond to this shift in human behavior, sorry, can you go back a slide, Kay? Thank you. Is to reward audience loyalty and engagement through our digital marketing in small and frequent ways. And I'm going to share some examples of how other organizations have been doing this so far. So the first example comes from Australian Ballet. So they shared this video, which Kay will play in a moment, asking their dancers who their favorite fairy is. So let's have a watch of that.
Can I be biased and say the one that I'm learning? Joy, Fairy of Joy. She's so joyful, like, you know.
The Temperament Fairy, because I play that fairy.
I like Lilac Fairy. She's so beautiful.
I love the Lilac Fairy. Yeah.
I love like the music for her solo. Like I think it's like kind of stunning, and like the movement vocab, Purple Tutu. I like Caraboss. I think she's the most interesting, has the most depth.
I love Lilac because she's like La Reine. She's the queen of the fairies. She's kind. She's thoughtful.
I really like Caraboss. I think she's just, you know, the main character.
The villains are always the most interesting.
Yeah, the Temperament Fairy.
Temperament, it's very fiery and I want to do it.
So it turns out that the villains are absolutely always the most interesting, because this video had a number of comments requesting content of Caraboss. If you don't know, I didn't know this, Caraboss is the name for the wicked stepmother in Sleeping Beauty. And so they had lots of comments like this one, which is on screen right now, saying, "Don't be shy, drop the Caraboss content." And so Australian Ballet rewarded their audience's engagement by sharing a video of some really lovely footage of the character Caraboss from one of their performances. So that's one way to reward audience engagement in the present moment. Another example comes from the National Gallery. So they shared this video, which Kay will play now. Thank you, Kay. So this video shows a really interesting detail in a Holbein painting, a skull which you can only see from a certain angle. And they had lots of comments asking for more information, like this one. So somebody commented, why did he do this? Was he showing off? Was it humor? Is it some kind of memento mori? And it doesn't always have to be posting a dedicated video to reward your audience. You could also just provide some more interesting information in the comments. So National Gallery responded saying it's both. The distorted effect is called anamorphosis and may have been included to demonstrate Holbein's skill as an artist. So that's another small way that we can respond to this shift in human behavior. The next example comes from outside of the arts. This is a pretty large content creator on TikTok called Jake Shane. And he regularly gets requests for sketches on Instagram. And this one shows Mrs. Claus after finding out that she can't go with Santa on Christmas Eve.
Have fun. I said have fun. I love you too. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I think I'm gonna take a Klonopin and go to bed early. I hate spending Christmas Eve without you. I know. I know. I hate work. I know. Stop. 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 I love you too. I love you. Go. Go, please.
And of course, this video was then flooded with more requests, including one to do Mrs. Claus hearing Santa Baby for the first time, which I would absolutely watch, and another saying, Jake, why do you have this outfit? Which is a perfectly valid question. And as I said before, you don't necessarily have to, share dedicated videos. It's really just about having fun with your audience. How can you create those micro quality interactions that respond to this shift in human behavior, where we're all looking for a bit more joy in the present moment? Finally, obviously we are digital marketing professionals, but we are also humans. So if human behavior is shifting to find more joy in the moment, how can we as people prioritize our own well-being and incorporate small rewards into the working day that help us stay motivated when the news is pretty depressing? So I'd love to hear some ideas from you guys in the chat. What ways do you find joy throughout the working day? For example, for me, I might, if I've had like an hour-long meeting, I might take a 5-minute break just to go and make a cup of tea, let my brain turn over. Absolutely, Josie, always a lunchtime walk. Also, a big fan of reading on my lunch break. And if you have a particularly boring task, listening to your favorite album or podcast to make it a bit more enjoyable. I'm a big cat lady, so always very happy to see that as well. A walk, finding a nice view, charity work, lovely. Dark chocolate moment, yes, also a chocoholic. So yeah, basically, at the moment, it can be really hard for us to not feel hopeless with everything that's going on in the world. So it's important to help ourselves and our audiences find more joy in the present moment. So as well as being a trend, I think this is a really lovely professional New Year's resolution to take into 2026. And with that, I'll hand over to the next trend.
Hi everyone, I'm Raf. I'm the creative director at HDK. I'm wearing a green jumper and I've got short grey hair and I'm wearing glasses. So there are many design trends predicted for 2026, but I decided to present Designing for Calm and how cultural organizations can create clarity, safety and emotional space for audiences in 2026. So why does calm design matter now? When we think about arts and culture, one thing is clear. Audiences are overwhelmed, we have little attention span, and we are unsure where to start when it comes to choosing what to see, attend, or explore. However, arts and culture are meant to be a refuge, a place for reflection, joy, rather than a cluttered and busy space. So calm design simplifies choices, reduces distractions, and improves usability. It also communicates what art organizations stand for, as it visually embodies core values like community, well-being, and connection. What does calm design actually look like in practice? So it's emotion-led storytelling, it's low-pressure communication, it relies on clear navigation and hierarchy, and it uses a subtle and minimal visual language. I'm going to go through them one by one very briefly. So it's emotion-led storytelling because it doesn't shout for attention, but prioritizes meaning, letting the content speak for itself. It reduces pressure because it removes the fear of missing out tactics, so people can explore without feeling rushed. It relies on clear navigation and hierarchy by letting pages breathe and offering one idea per view. And this helps people understand what's on offer without feeling overwhelmed. And finally, calm design uses a subtle visual language, minimal color schemes that complement the program imagery rather than compete with it. So what about the benefits of calm design? We've seen some already, but just to summarize, it boosts conversions because when audiences feel informed and confident, they're more likely to engage and book. It supports inclusivity, making experiences accessible to a wider range of audiences, including those who may be neurodivergent, older, or new to cultural venues. It improves clarity because it simplifies navigation and helps people understand programs with ease. And finally, it differentiates the organization, projecting confidence and showing that you are both professional and approachable.
Hi everyone, I'm Lavita. I'm a woman with black and gray hair and I'm wearing a red jumper today. So a major shift is underway. So for years, designers have focused on UX or user experience, which is about how someone interacts with a single product or interface. During this, they make sure that the website is clear, an app feels smooth, and users can accomplish what they need without friction. Sorry, Kate, do you mind going to the next slide, please? Thank you. Today, however, the focus is expanding. So MX, or multi-experience, takes design beyond a single screen and looks for a person's full journey across platforms. So that includes web and mobile, but also voice chat, wearables, and even AR and VR. So why are designers talking about MX now? Well, firstly, we use several devices on a daily basis. We can start on our laptop, move to our phone, and then a speaker without even realizing it. And secondly, MX goes beyond usability. It focuses on the experience and how it feels, the tone of a message, the micro animations, and the small moments that build trust over time. Imagine ordering a coffee. UX focused approach. So the goal of that is to make sure it's seamless, it's easy to use, easy to navigate. But with MX, we consider the entire journey. So you might start ordering your coffee from your phone. You'll get a notification on your smartwatch. You'll confirm it through voice assistants, and then you go into the store and see your name on a digital board. Each interaction is different, but they all work together to connect the experience. Don't get me wrong, UX is still essential, but MX is where things are heading. It's about designing the experiences that meet people wherever they are, on whatever device they choose to use, and creating interactions that feel connected, consistent, and ultimately human. The future of MX is designing for the entire ecosystem.
Hi everyone, I'm Fizz. I'm a white woman in my mid-20s, and today I'm wearing a black jumper and some Christmas tree earrings, which maybe you can see. So, my key trend for 2026 is the rise of social media search. This is something that I feel like we've already begun to see in 2025, but it will only continue to accelerate into the next year. So, social media SEO or search engine optimization is about making your content easy to find inside the social media platforms, not just on Google. It's about understanding how people search on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and then weaving the right keywords into your captions, scripts, titles, or descriptions so your content shows up when it matters. What's really driving this trend is a major shift in user behavior. People aren't just scrolling anymore on social media, they're actively searching for specific content. On platforms such as TikTok, a large proportion of views now originate from search and not from the For You page. Organizations that optimize their content for in-platform search are seeing significantly higher click-through rates, stronger visibility for topical keywords, and even spillover effects such as their TikTok videos ranking on Google. So why is this relevant for arts organizations? Well, people are increasingly using social media as their first stop when they want to find out what's on, explore an artist's work, preview a venue or an exhibition, discover workshops, or maybe even creating creative learning opportunities. They're searching for things like best exhibitions this month, theatre shows near me, or say family-friendly events. If your content mirrors the natural language your audience are using, you're far more likely to appear in these searches. And according to Passion Digital, as you can see on the screen, 40% of Gen Z are now using social media platforms as their primary search engine. This changes how people stumble across what you may have on in your venue, your performances, say, or even your learning programs. And platforms themselves are leaning into this kind of search behavior, with TikTok sharing key search terms above videos. And on Instagram, searchable captions now play a major role in whether your posts appear when someone types in, say, free exhibitions or contemporary dance London. So I think in 2026, we're going to see more marketers treating every social post as a searchable asset. And as a result, we'll be spending more time tailoring our captions, descriptions, and even spoken words and videos to reflect the language our audiences actually use. On video platforms in particular, keywords need to appear early and clearly. If a video is about an exhibition on climate change, for example, you'll want to make that clear in the first few seconds. You're not just talking to followers anymore, you're also signaling to algorithms and to people searching for that topic that your content is relevant. The rise of social media search kind of blurs the line between web SEO and social media, and I think we'll see greater emphasis on SEO consistency across all of your channels. So if your website is optimized for terms like immersive theatre or photography courses, your social content will want to mirror this. Oh, Hans, you're on mute.
Thank you, Fizz. I'm going to stick with search, but I'm going to bring in the element of AI into this. My name is Hans. I've did the introduction. I am a male in my mid-50s. I'm wearing a wintry, Christmassy jumper, and I've got a red Perspex Christmas tree behind me. So AI and SEO, I think, are changing the way that people discover cultural events and experiences. So in 2026, we'll see the impact of some changes that have been happening this year, in particular, Google, who have rolled out their AI overviews or their Google summaries, and also Bing, that has made their AI offering much more robust this year. So that, for example, as when people are searching for events, and in this search I've put what I can see at Sadler's Wells this month, you get the AI summary at the top of the search results before you get for the actual web links. And of course, this means that people are getting the information they want about you without having to visit your websites. The risks of this are obvious, but maybe the opportunities is that we can find ways to structure our content. And I know that Yannick is going to explore this as well a bit later. And the way that we can do this is to think about simple, direct content that AI can understand. So we as marketers are probably very good at, we've trained ourselves to tell stories, to get the emotion out of our events, to share, let people read between the lines. For AI, we still need to be a little bit more direct. So FAQs is one great example of that. The what you might expect type of content is another. Accessibility in natural language. AI seems to love the behind the scenes content, seems to be rewarding content makers for that. But what we've learned in the 2025 December Google's core update is that they want to prioritize that human content. As I said, Yannick's going to pick up on that in more detail a bit later. But how can we be doing that now? Well, as we saw in the next slide, as we saw with Biz, it's not just Google and Bing and the web platforms doing that, but the social platforms are really focusing on that as well, and they're rewarding content creators who tap into making their content much more easy to search. But so if there are three things that we can be doing to help us do this, we can think about our content and making it more structured and easier for AI to understand. We can refresh that evergreen content that's been on our websites for a while to follow that idea. And then finally, we can think about how we can bring in more human content into our stuff. So that would be content that's name checked, that's got a bio and a link to somebody who's written it, that's written by an expert authority. I kind of think of when I go into Majestic Wine and you get the staff picks and the little descriptions of why they like that. Those sorts of things really resonate with me. And can we do that in our own content as well? So if I'm going to wrap up, I would say think about 2026 as when cultural discovery is becoming more AI mediated, that first impressions no longer start on your website, and that really we want to be thinking about designing our content for discovery, not just visits.
Hi everyone, my name is Yannick. I'm technical lead and developer here at HDK. I'm wearing a fluffy jumper, I'm white, I've got short hair and a beard, and I've got bright blue eyes. In the background, I've also got a Christmas tree and a little snowman sitting on a microphone. So my trend is human finished content. So we're seeing a surge in AI usage, and there's a few reasons for that. So the first one is that there's there's a trend. There's more people using more AI. It's been around for longer, so there's more people using it. There's more people experimenting with it, and then there's more models out there, and they've gotten better, and it's easier. There's a lot more out in the market, so it's a lot easier to get access to different models. So where I'm seeing a lot of AI usage at the moment on socials, and the ones that are getting me are animal videos, are the ones that are getting me on socials. And I got a couple on the next slide. This is just a demonstration of, I think it's Meta, just demonstrating what it can do. And it had about, I think this had. So this one had about 20 or 30 reactions or interactions. And the next one, it's a little bit more meme worthy. And this one had about 20,000 or more. You know, they get so good that you can't quite tell, but I'm pretty sure that's AI because of the way that the dog just disappeared from gravity at the end there. We didn't have this in the rehearsal, but I'm going to add in a controversial question. Do you prefer cats or dogs? If you prefer cats, give me a 1 in the chat. If you prefer dogs, give me a 2 in the chat. If it's something else, give me a 3. That's very even spread. There's a lot of twos. I saw a three. Yeah, I personally love cats. But dog videos are the ones that are getting me. They're just so relatable. The threes could be anything and anything. Yeah. So, back to the trend. Before I keep going on, I just want to point out that there are a few places where AI is successful and proving useful. So that's in chatbot systems or FAQ systems. It's also very good for scaffolding or structuring ideas, bringing a structure to kind of chaos, or even ideation and workshopping. And it's important to keep experimenting to find where those usefulness and successes can come. But with a rise in AI usage, it's important to make sure that you're curating the content to a human. So AI is very useful in the process, but if you leave AI to deliver the final product, it can lead to overly optimistic, formulaic, and especially with text, it can follow very similar language patterns, and people are switched on to this. And often, as Hans was referencing, SEO is a good example of where this can happen. So one part of SEO practice is to make sure that the machine, that a computer, a search engine can understand your content. So things like keywords, metadata, and structuring it so the computer spends less time crawling it and more time understanding what's going on. But that's only half the picture. If you overly overload your content with things that are good for the computer, once it gets in front of a human, it can be quite obvious that it's not written by a human. You want to make sure that your content that you have, when it reaches someone, that it's finished, it has that human feel, and good content is always king. So to wrap up this trend, so a rise in AI usage will lead to users being more tuned to AI finished content and seek out human finished content as a preference. And on to the next trend.
Thank you, Yannick. Hi, everyone. My name's Molly. I'm a marketing executive at HCK. I'm a white woman in my early 20s. I've got blonde hair, glasses, and today I'm wearing a black jumper. So I'm predicting a rise of niche micro influencer marketing in 2026. Next slide. Sorry, Kay. So, as short form video platforms like TikTok are becoming overrun with ads and AI generated content, we're seeing users' focus shifting away from mainstream mass marketing as people are looking to connect more with authentic creators that cater to their own interests. So, while micro influencers generally have a smaller reach with about 10 to 100,000 followers, they tend to generate high engagement and conversion rates. Next slide, Kay. Thanks. One place we can see this is on Book Talk, on that side of TikTok, with creators like Emily Russell, who got popular a few years ago after posting a video about visiting her favorite bookshop. And she got hundreds of comments from people saying that now they wanted to visit the shop after seeing her TikTok, even people talking about driving several hours away just to take her recommendation. So these authentic recommendations from micro influencers build a lot of trust with their audiences because they have credibility within their niches. And the relationships between audiences and micro influencers tend to be a lot more of a two-way relationship than you would see with mainstream influencers. We can also see, sorry, Kay, can you just go back? Thank you. So we can also see how micro influencers on Book Talk are driving physical store visitors and sales with displays like the ones on the screen that are just dedicated to books that are going popular on TikTok because of these micro influencers. We can also see the impact of micro influencers in the foodie scene with local micro influencers like Esme East and Dine with Fari, who both review food spots in London. Their content is a lot less
produced than traditional ads and sponsorships. They post things like their favorite lunch spots to visit when they're working in the city, and they review places that have already gone viral to talk to their audiences about whether these places are worth the hype or not. So with so many places being promoted, especially somewhere like London, these reviews are unpaid, but sometimes the creators are invited to try the food for free, but they resonate with audiences that are deciding where to spend their money. So I think oversaturation of promotional content on social media and rising living costs are really going to help drive this trend in 2026. So we see companies are looking to be efficient with their marketing budgets, and consumers are becoming more spend conscious. So micro influencer marketing is cheap and effective, resulting in higher audience engagement and strong local targeting, especially driving people to visit brick and mortar stores among so much online shopping. And now on to the next one.
Thank you, Molly. And I'm sort of carrying on with Molly's theme of social media and content creators here. I'm Bella. I'm a white woman in my 20s with wavy brown shoulder length hair, and I've taken a leaf out of Phoebe's book and put some tinsel on. So my trend for 2026 is around episodic content and the idea that social media is turning into TV. And why I say this is that social feeds aren't really social anymore. Meta says that most Instagram and Facebook time isn't spent on friends content. In fact, it's around 7% of time for Instagram and 17% for Facebook. More time, with the majority of your time on social media, will be being fed short form videos from people you don't know through these AI algorithms from platforms. So basically, social media is now functioning more like a TV channel than a place to check in with your friends. And everything is sort of turning into TV on social media. So it's evolved from this place of text to become a place for photos, to video being, having risen up in the last 5 to 7 years on social media. And some people say this is now sort of a new end state, but I think it's just the next step into, whatever else is coming in social media in the next 5 or 10 years. Which is that on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts, it's streams of hours and hours of video by people that we don't know. And this has led to a rise in episodic content. So lots of your feed is now serialized shows by independent creators, whether that's short comedy shows or interviews or behind the scenes episodes. So it gets viewers invested in stories and formats and looking to come back for more. Some examples on here are Boy Room, which is a New York-based show where a comedian tours the messy flats of men in their 20s. And another one on that theme of visiting flats is Apartment Tour Guy, who gets ordinary people to give them a tour of their flat and just with an iPhone and talk about their life. And you probably won't have missed Chicken Shop Date or Career Ladder or Subway Takes pop up on your social media feeds over the last year or two. And the next example I have here is Phone on the Bridge. So they're not all funny. Some of them can be really heartwarming and quite emotional. This is a project set up by an artist who puts an old-fashioned I say old-fashioned, it's a landline on a bridge and invites random strangers to share their views with the world. And it's quite emotional and people tell their experiences and stories about their life. So why do these types of formats work? They're native to the platform, whether that's TikTok or Reels or Shorts. They hook you really quickly without needing that hour-long commitment. But they're in those short and repeatable formats that keep people coming back and keep people engaged with enough familiarity to recognize the style and enough variation to stay interesting. It's sort of the same reason that memes go viral. And once someone's invested in a format or a content series, they might scroll back through past episodes or wait for the next one to come out. And in Deloitte's latest digital media trends study, they show that nearly 60% of Gen Z and 44% of millennials spend more time watching social media videos than streaming services. Brands have definitely been taking note of this, and they've started working, I've especially seen this come up in the last year, working with these independent content creators and these series serialized shows for collaborative content. Even political campaigns like Zoran Mamdani's have been getting in on the act, working with influencers like Subway Takes. But I think 2026 will bring more brands not only collaborating with these content creators, but creating their own stories, their own shows. And as people become increasingly ad adverse, this episodic content will allow brands to participate more in culture and build that brand affinity at that sort of awareness level before getting people to spend with them. So what this might mean in 2026 for yourselves as arts marketers, why is it a trend going into the new year? Well, you could start thinking like a content producer for your own social media, creating mini series that engage with your audiences that are potentially entertaining or share some more emotional stories behind your work. It could be behind the scenes or artist interviews, short, repeatable formats that really let audiences into your world and maybe create like a little mini universe. It allows your audience to get to know you and to be entertained, to stay top of mind when they're ready to buy it or attend something. And that will win you more attention and engagement in 2026.
Thanks, Bella. So my name is Linus and I'm the web support manager here at HDK. And I'm a white man in his early 30s. And today I'm wearing a black baseball cap and a white t-shirt. Now I'm going to be diving into the three main parts of sustainable and low carbon design. So, I mean, the core principle here is pretty simple, and it's that digital efficiency equals environmental responsibility. And this is because every line of code, every pixel, every image loaded, video played costs energy. Well, how do we mitigate this then? So first of all, we need to adopt a performance first design. And this means being absolutely ruthless about optimization. So we're seeing now a major shift towards leaner, faster code, hyper-optimized media formats, and ensuring that page load times are lightning fast. So you can think of it this way. So a slow website that isn't just bad user experience anymore, is environmentally wasteful. So a low carbon website will actually ultimately equal higher conversions. Something to keep in mind. Next, we should also be focusing on energy-aware user experiences. So I think the best example for this would be the dark mode mandate, as they call it. So dark mode now, which is when you have the ability to, make your browser use darker colors instead of lighter colors, black instead of white. And dark mode is now expected, especially, I would say, in these darker days of the year. So on modern screens, it saves significant energy, it extends battery life, and it reduces power draw. So we need to be able to offer beautiful, effective, low brightness palettes as standard. And then another key area to look at when thinking of your UX, thinking of the UX of your user paths, is that now designers are simplifying multi-step processes. These are things like checkout flows, because every unnecessary click, navigation, or reload, it's a waste of energy. So the goal here is to be as friction-free as possible. So get the use of what they need quickly and cleanly. And then finally, I think the trend that we're going to see way more in 2026 is transparency. So by 2026, I don't think your customers will just want to say that you're green. They're going to demand proof. So this means that you're going to need to be opting for green hosting powered by renewables. And I think for leading brands, also displaying a carbon impact score right on their websites. So this is like a sustainability grade for your digital presence. And this provides a massive, credible, ethical edge. So the key takeaway for this part, sustainability is going to be the secret weapon for superior performance. Build it clean, make it fast, and try to tell the truth.
Hello, I'm Kay Peng. I'm the digital project manager of HDK. I'm wearing a green jumper and I have this nice little Christmas tree behind me in the office. So, when we talk about GDPR and cookies, the story has always been about consent. That lovely moment when a user lands on your website and immediately gets hit with a banner asking them to accept, reject, or customize a baffling number of tracking options. But in 2026, we may see a slight change in that. So before I go into details, I would like to do a poll. How many of you accept cookies when you browse on websites? You can put in one if you fully accept any cookies, two if you only allow necessary cookies, three if you fully reject. I'm seeing a lot of twos, some ones and threes as well. So I see a good mixture. For me, I go for the second one because I do relate with website managers who would like to get as many accurate tracking numbers as possible. So yeah, but we all know that it's causing a lot of fatigue having to see the cookie banner every time you visit a new website. And the EU and the UK GDPR policies are about to change, addressing these issues. So first, we're seeing a move away from consent being the default requirement for cookies. So under EU's proposed digital omnibus reforms, cookie rules would be folded into GDPR itself. This means that some cookies could be used under what's called a legitimate interest basis rather than an explicit opt-in. A similar change is being implemented in the UK as the DUAA, also known as the Data Use and Access Act, received a royal assent in June 2025 to remove consent requirements for non-intrusive cookies. So by non-intrusive cookies, it means that you will be asked to track necessary cookies for security, fraud prevention, as well as for website analysis and functionality tracking without needing a consent from the users. So the second one is following the EU regulations, not the UK, the cookie banners as we know them may start to disappear altogether. The proposed reform suggests that browsers should be the place where people set their tracking preferences, not each website's. So if a user has already told the browser that they're fine with analytics, your site will simply honor that. No pop-ups, no frustrations whatsoever. Whether the UK policy mirrors this or not has not been confirmed yet, so it would be very good to stay in tune for that. With that in mind, we will witness some ease of regulations, but also the price for not being compliant to the policies is going to be very high. The maximum fines for the UK currently relies on the £500,000 for the fines, but it will raise to £17.5 million or 4% of global turnover. So yes, it's still about consent, but in 2026, consent might be moving backstage. And if these reforms do go through, arts organizations could see a much smoother user journey on their websites, lighter administrations, and a much more sensible approach to data privacy online.
Thanks, Kay. And so it's become a tradition at HDK. At the end of this webinar, we present the color of the year according to Pantone. So it is not, Pantone is recognized as the authority when it comes to color, but for instance, last year, the color of 2025 was some sort of mocha, mousse, so like a beige. So it's not necessarily the color that you will see everywhere, but we've seen quite a bit of beige this year in 2025. So before the color of the year is announced, which happened just a few days ago, the Pantone community give their predictions, and this is what the predictions were just a few days before the announcement. So the majority of people thought that some sort of green or blue was going to win. I thought that green, 2026 was going to be the year of green, but instead, if you haven't heard what the color of 2026 is, It is some sort of white, almost a non-color, defined by Pantone as a whisper of tranquility and peace in a noisy world. So the actual name of the color is Cloud Dancer, and I have to read this from the Pantone website. Is a lofty white that serves as a symbol of calming influence in a society rediscovering the value of quiet reflection. So it has already gathered a few funny reviews on social media, but it is interesting anyway how Cloud Dancer fits perfectly with some of the trends that we presented today. Mine about designing for calm and Phoebe's living in the present. I don't know what you guys think about it, but yeah, it's white.
Yeah, great, thank you, Raf. And yeah, do put your reactions in the chat room if you feel inclined. Um, but I am going to lead us into another interaction. This is when we ask you what your predictions are for 2026. If you've got your phone to hand, you can click on the QR code, or if you haven't got your phone to hand, you can go to slido.com and type in that number that's on the screen. We'll leave that up for a little while. So while you do that, what do you think? Were there any trends today that resonated with you that you think, yeah, that's obviously going to be the big thing that's going to make an impact next year? Are there things that you've been reading about, that you've been talking about at work, that you think will really influence and have an impact next year? So you can use Slido to put in one. You could put in a couple of answers if you want. So I'm going to give you a few moments to do that without me rabbiting on, and then in a few moments we'll get the screen up and we'll start to see those results coming in. Yeah, I can already start to see the results. So I think, Kay, if you want to swap tabs so that we can all see the results together as they come in. Got about 30 responses. Yeah, I'm not surprised. AI still holding on to that spot. It's still got a long way to go. I love that someone's typed in the code number for the chat. But also, let me read out some. I love whimsy fatigue. Yeah, I get that. Video podcasts, calm. Yes, I think I think there's space for that. I think we all need a bit of that in 2026. The rise of Gen A influencers. Yes, it's their turn, isn't it? So let's see how much impact they make next year. Real social content, storytelling, overselling. Yes, I think that is a theme that we've been seeing emerging in the conferences that we've been going to. And I think that's going to be something that continues to grow next year. Episodic content, someone liked that one. Human stories, yeah. So keep putting those in. We've still got some space for more responses. I'd love to get a few more responses in there. More light-hearted content, yeah. Short form celebrity interviews. Keep putting those in. We'll come back to it. We'll share it in the video of this, and of course we'll refer to it next year. So the more of your responses in the more useful this might be next year as we go back. But I want to now take the opportunity, if we go back to the screens, just to remind you of some webinars that are coming up in the new year. As I said, the links to the webinars are on our website, so you can start to see those. We've got one on writing a website brief for January. We've done this one before. I think there's things, basically, is how, if you're writing a brief for a website agency, we can share with you our perspective on that, how it can be received by an agency, how to get the best out of that process. We've got one in February on the future of social media, and we've got to how to measure your website's impact and actions and action your analytics, so a data-driven one. So those are just the first three. We've got them laid out for the full year on the website, which is wearehdk.com. And also, I don't know, Phoebe, if you let me, if I can pre-announce this, but we are planning to do our first in-person seminar at some point next year. So I'm committing ourselves to doing that. We've been talking about it for a few years now, and we're going to make it happen in 2026. So that's one prediction. And if you want to hear about that and the other future webinars, do join our newsletter. Again, the link is on our website at wearehdk.com. And if you just want to reach out to us, you can email us at hello@wearehdk.com. So thank you everyone for joining us to this webinar. We've pretty much landed on time, so I'm pleased about that. It's always hard to time these things. But I hope to see you at one of our future webinars in 2026. And in the meantime, from all of us at HDK, have a great Christmas.